Hi, this is John. It's December 6th, 2022, and we were doing some moving of boxes, old boxes, and I discovered a box that I had packed away about 30 years ago. It's December 2022 right now. By the way, I'm John J, and this is really a story about an invention I had for what I called the Aquatarium back around approximately 1985 or 86. And it's a story about basically just rediscovering this little prototype I made over 30 years ago. And we were just taking garbage out to the road. It was some stuff in storage in the basement. And I guess I'd always known this box was here that had these two Aquatarium prototypes. But I didn't want to get rid of them. They just put them in a box and forgot about them. But yeah, we're kind of in the mode of getting rid of junk that we don't use, and I really don't use these things. But I did want to record what they were all about, what the idea was, and kind of show the shape of them. They were back as a young man, 25, 26 years old. I had a fish tank, and it was a nice display, pretty large one, and I got to, when you go to the pet supply store, you get the fish, but you'd also see they had amphibians like newts and ginkgos and stuff like that. And then it occurred to me, hey, wouldn't it be nice to, above your fish tank, have something to display these land-dwelling creatures, the amphibious animals, and make a little place for them to be able to go down into the water. And then I struck this idea for like a glass tank, custom sized to fit on top of the larger fish tank. And it would be a terrarium. It'd have gravelly, dirty kind of dirt and moss and that kind of thing, and little sticks that amphibious animals and they could live on. And you could provide them with food to eat, just like you provide fish to eat, only be appropriate for the amphibious animals. So basically, I'm just going to show you this project I was working on when I was a young man. This is way before I got married, probably at least 2 years before I got married, 35 years ago. So around circa 1985, I was working on it. And so I'm not sure which of these two were the first. There were evidently two generations, and I tried to make improvements. One's larger, one's smaller. I really don't know which one was the improved version, which one I started with, and did I start with small and the second version was bigger? I'm not really sure, I don't remember. But I'll just call them the large and small prototypes. So this smaller prototype, I was just looking at it, and see it's got this little, so if you can imagine this part on top of the large fish tank. So down below, you'd see the fish, and then here up on top by the lid, you'd see the terrarium with the amphibious animals. And then here's their little ladder way to get down in. It was adjustable. See, there's little holes on it for adjusting. A little ladder way for them to get down in. And imagine this with like gravel and moss and little weathered sticks and stuff that they could crawl on. But then if they wanted to go down into the water, they could go down through this little ladder. And then on the back of it, so you can see the little passageway in the bottom down here. Imagine that sitting on the top of the fish tank, about that size, so you can kind of get the idea. And then here's this lid that goes on the top. It had a light, had two switches, and had a power cable. And the power cable had an outlet and a plug. So it looks to me like I had it rigged so one switch controlled the light going on and off, and then this other switch was probably to activate this outlet. I don't know what the outlet was plugged to. I don't remember. So this would set right up on here. So right up in there. And it doesn't exactly fit perfectly. I don't know if that was an error in my design or what. Huh. But anyway, maybe that was version. Maybe that small one was a version 2. And you can imagine that ladder in there. And then there were also these little plastic things, all custom made. You can see the seam in the middle of that one. So I would have taken 2 sheets of plastic and glued them together and then cut them out to make that shape. All this stuff was kind of like that. See how they were all cut to dimensions. I would have drawn it out. I don't know what happened to my papers. And then glued them together. This one doesn't look as perfect as this larger one, so I'm thinking the larger one was the second version. So this one had the same, retained the same ladder here, and the hole was kind of centered, where the small one, the hole was set toward the bottom. So I'm not sure, again, which would have been generation 1 or 2. Maybe the bigger one, hole in the middle was generation 2, I don't know. But same concept. I had this little ladder you could adjust. It was, the plastic was all cut to size. I had these big sheets. And then it was glued with this silicone stuff that's made, it's like what they use with fish tanks. And this one's a little bit larger. So you can have like larger, you know, designs, because it's part of it isn't just the animals, it's also the display that you put in there. And then here's the light, a little bigger rectangle here. So same 2 switches. See the 2 switches again. I know one would have been the light, maybe the other one I think would have activated the outlet. So in other words, it would have one plug in the wall, and then when you flick this switch, it would turn the light on or off, and then flick the other switch, it would activate something that was plugged into this. So let's see how this thing fits. The Aquatarium, designed by JohnJ in 1985 or 86. So hey, that fits nice and neat. I'm pretty sure this would have been Gen 2, because see, it fits nice and neat. Gen 2 fits nice and neat. The back side, there's the, so, and imagine a fish tank. Imagine that sitting on top of a fish tank. You'd, you know, it'd be glowing. This the light, the way these lights, and it's a recess, so you don't see the light exactly, but you see the glow coming up off the gravel or the moss or whatever the display is in there. And then these animals, the idea would be that they go down in. And then basically, you know, as a 25 or 6-year-old, life changed. I met my future wife, and you know, that maybe work, and kind of just pack this stuff up and never dealt with it again. Here it is, 35, 36 years, 37 years later. I don't know exactly. This is December of 2022, so quite a few years later. Anyway, that's the Aquatarium, and I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel, just so I'm going to show my kids. Okay, have a good one. It's good to have good ideas and actually, not just ideas, but actually act on them. This one didn't pan out. I didn't make a ton of money or anything, but I've learned in life, if you have an idea, you think it's good, you better act on it. You know, just don't just talk about it. Put the hard work in. I mean, there was a lot of work in this too. I mean, I'm sure that took 100 hours or 200 hours, something like that. Okay, bye.